Hello and welcome back to the Footballing Question podcast. We are back again. It's been a little bit of a break from the normal format, but we're back as always with Ashley and Jordan. I'm Isaac as always, and it's been an interesting week. We've had the World Cup. So with my opening question, I'm going to ask you guys, which team has surprised you the most in the World Cup so far?
Oh wow, I'm going into this unprepared, so I'm just going to go with something that's just kind of flying on my mind. I liked Canada's performance against Belgium, but they lost in the end, so yeah, I can't go with them.
And then they got battered.
Could I say that you go first, I'm thinking.
My pick, I'm waiting for, I know what you're going to say here.
You know exactly.
So I'm just going to get it out of the way. In my video on my personal channel, I made a mistake.
Why are we plugging?
Don't plug in.
I made a mistake, right? And I changed my mind at the last second. The team that surprised me the most, despite the fact they've not really surprised me because I've been bigging them up for so long, is Ecuador. They've been so good, and I don't know why I decided at the last second, I think Qatar are going to come second in the World Cup group. No, Ecuador are amazing. I've been bigging them up for so long now, and they've proven me 100% correct, other than for that slight lapse in my judgment.
Other than you saying Qatar will finish above them. But yeah, Ashley, you made your mind up?
I've made my mind up. I'm going with Australia. I'm kind of coming into this tournament just kind of like, I know they're a country, but didn't really know they were in the World Cup, if I'm honest. You know, they went 1-0 up against France, fair enough. That took me by surprise first of all, but then, you know, they've won their next game and they actually are looking like they could contend with going through, which if you asked me at the start of the tournament, I would have said no, they're an outright, they're not getting through. But yeah, no, Australia for me.
Yeah, interesting one. Obviously Australia, you know, getting that win, I mean, realistically a point probably does it for them in the next game.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, a win will guarantee it. And unlike, you know, glad for them, you know, they've got France out of the way. So they've just got to do what they can. But who's it, Denmark?
You're going Denmark?
No. Australia's next game.
Yeah, Denmark.
I'm not going Denmark. For me, Jordan knows exactly who I'm going for. This team, I just won me over by just how they play football. I go Iran. I really like Iran.
Yeah.
And there's one player that I've just fallen in love with their work rate, and it's not Taremi, it's bloody Azmoun. I don't know what it is about the guy. He hasn't scored a goal at the tournament. He's a striker, but he just runs like an absolute animal.
I think he's actually a winger as well for Bayer Leverkusen, and he was at Zenit and he did really well there. And he's not done too well.
I know he's not directly up front for Iran, but he's a forward. And I just love him because he's doing the dog work.
Have you seen Golizadeh?
No.
Golizadeh for Iran is insane as well. Probably got an even better work rate than Azmoun.
I don't know what it is. I just see him and he's running from deep, winning the ball back, he hit the post. Like, I just really like players who just give it their all. I'd call him like the Mohamed El Neni of forwards.
Golizadeh was the one who hit the post after Azmoun.
Yeah, and that was even better shot.
Golizadeh scored the second goal as well. So yeah, no, I think Iran is insane.
I really like Iran. I really like them. They're just a really good side. It's annoying because against England, obviously we're happy we beat them. We're happy we battered them. I'd argue the reason is they just kind of went into the World Cup and went, it's England, they're expected to win the group. Let's change the way we play. And if they played like they did against Wales, I think we could have had a really, you know, tough game. But instead they sat back and gave the win for us. And against Wales, they took the game to them and dominated them.
Do you think they beat the US?
Bloody
hope so.
That's really tough because USA, I mean, they bottled it against Wales a bit. And they bottled it against us, I'd say, as well. Because in both games, they dominated. And in both games, they drew. So from what I can see from these teams, is Iran are pretty good at scoring goals. And USA are doing everything but. So I'd probably say Iran to win that. And Iran go through. And I want Iran to go through. You know, they've never got to the round 16, I don't think. So that'd be exciting. And yeah, I really like them. Obviously, there's been a couple of shocks already in this tournament so far. Japan beating Germany, Saudi Arabia beating Argentina. But one potential shock, which I don't think we've discussed fully in depth to how big it is the way Belgium are playing right now. Only scraping a 1-0 win against Canada when they've been dominated and losing 2-0 to Morocco. You know, it's not looking good for Belgium. And if you look deep into it, it's a real big problem for them, you know, looking forward to the future.
Yeah, it's a massive problem at the moment going forward in this tournament. They're third. They're a point behind Morocco and Croatia. Luckily for their final game against Croatia, things are still in their hand. If they beat Croatia, they will go through. However, if they don't beat Croatia, and the way that Croatia played against Canada as well, I am unconvinced that Belgium are going to do this. A couple of years ago, you'd say Belgium are outright winners for that match, even despite the fact Croatia got to the World Cup final in the last tournament. I think Belgium have fallen off a cliff massively. They're an ageing side, and as time has passed, that golden generation that everyone's talking about is slowly drifting away.
They just look quite poor. I mean, if you look at the stats from the Morocco game, they are quite similar, but they still outplayed, I think, anyway. Didn't really create any chances, but I think it's a case of their players really ageing. They've got a lot of older players and not many younger players coming through.
Yes.
So, yeah, that's a real issue there.
For their starting 11 against Morocco, 7 of their players that started were over the age of 30. They're obviously, Roberto Martinez is desperately trying to hang on to his star players. You know, you've got the Hazard, De Bruyne, the two Hazards. So
Yeah.
the De Bruyne, Batshuayi, Lukaku. But the defence is just like, when you look at it, it just looks so old. Mounier, Vertonghen, Alderweireld, and to be fair, Castagne's a decent player, but with those around him, I just feel like it's slipping away slightly.
I mean, I've looked at the squad here, and you know, out of their, you know, what is it, 26-man squad,
Yeah.
there are 11 players 30 and over,
Mhm.
and the majority of them are crucial to the team and are starting, which
Well-
is dangerous. And then as well, you know, you look at it, and then you've got Carrasco, an important player, Lukaku, Batshuayi, who's the only person who's scored a goal for them in this tournament.
Mhm.
They're all 29. That's not good looking, you know, looking to the future.
Not to
And
You look at De Bruyne's quote from the other
exactly.
day as well, saying, they're not going to win anything because they're all old, pretty much,
Absolutely.
in simple terms.
As much as all these players have won like immense trophies in their careers, and they are all established players in the game around Europe, you still need a balance of young and old. And I suppose they've got that in Onana in central defensive midfielder. He is 21, but he is pretty much the only youngster. in the
I'd
squad.
argue the only two, other than him, the only other player I'd say is, you know, looking forward can do something for Belgium. Maybe like Jeremy Doku, who impressed at the Euros, but
Yeah.
haven't seen much of him this tournament.
Did some maths earlier on that Belgium squad that you were looking at just then, Isaac, and the average age of the whole squad is 27.8. I mean, it's not in the 30s, not near to 30, but it is still quite shocking that you've got 26 players in your team, and most of them are coming towards the end of their career. Out of the starting 11 that faced Morocco, can any of you lads guess the average age?
No
on
idea.
that? No clue.
I'd argue maybe 30.
30. You're not far off. 29.9 was the average age of that starting 11 that lost 2-0 to Morocco. The oldest player on the pitch was Jan Vertonghen, 35. He's at Anderlecht now. He was at Benfica before, Tottenham, we all know his story. And yeah, it was just horrific. The average age of their attack was 30. 2 Hazards, De Bruyne and Batshuayi. They're falling off massively.
I mean, going back on that De Bruyne quote, I don't know how strongly you guys feel about it. Obviously, I made like a big statement against the Ronaldo stuff a couple of episodes back, and I'd argue this is almost as bad, because to just, when you're a key figure for that nation, to just give up in an interview and just basically say we're not winning the thing, I think that's an absolute disgrace.
I think it is.
If a player in the England squad came out and went, we're not winning it. Sure, I don't think we're going to win it, but if anyone shouldn't be saying that, it's the players and the manager, because they're the people who have to believe and have faith. And what are you there at the World Cup for? If you don't believe you're going to win it, Joe, why call up De Bruyne in the bloody first place? You know,
No one's going to talk about it, though.
no one's going to
That's the
talk.
thing.
No one's talking about it. And I think it's absolutely disgraceful that he's just gone, well, I think we're going to win it. I argue he takes a bit of the blame for that Morocco loss, because saying that the day before a game, what impact does that have on the rest of the squad? They're going to go, wow, our best player just doesn't think we're good enough.
And what impact does that have on Morocco? They're thinking, right, well,
They're
they don't
thinking-
even think they're going to win.
They think they're not up for it. Let's go for it.
We'll have it, yeah.
And what happened?
absolutely.
And what happened? They nick a 2-0 win.
I mean, Courtois wasn't even at his best. And you look
No.
at the Canada game, Courtois was one of their best players on the pitch. He saved that penalty from Alphonso Davies. And you go into this, after the back of that statement, not having a good game. And he is perhaps the best goalkeeper in the world on his day. And you look at that performance. And
I mean, I'd argue, looking at that Belgium squad, you know, a lot of them have had their day and aren't really performing at it as of late, like Hazard, like Lukaku. And I'd argue the only people in that squad who are, you know, the experienced older players who are still doing it it's just Courtois and De Bruyne, I'd say. And for one of those players to just completely sell out the squad, it's just brutal.
It's so unmotivated. Can you imagine that being like, obviously it's not a club football,
Yeah.
can you imagine it being your club, having all those players that are old? Imagine it was your nation, just thinking, right, we've got the Euros in 2 years, we've got the World Cup in 4 years.
Yeah.
We're going to be awful in them because our whole squad's going to have to, if we want a chance, our whole squad's going to have to be revamped, and we're just going to have to be lucky enough to have about 8 superstars come through in Europe, and hopefully we'll do it.
The thing is, to say that if you're in a club football, you can be honest and say, I don't think we're going to win, like, the league or something. But when you're in a knockout competition, like, there is no purpose beyond winning it. There's nothing, you don't get anything if you don't win it. Like, it's not, it's just so, Look, I'm not going to go in more in depth, but I just think it's wrong.
Why is no one talking about it though? That's what I don't understand.
I think it's because it's De Bruyne.
Yeah,
I think it's because of the perception we have of him. With the Ronaldo thing, I think it grew beyond that, in that the story was boiling for months, and people were talking about him already, and it's so unprecedented what happened. I think De Bruyne isn't on the same level, but it's very disrespectful, and it's so surprising from a player like him, because you'd imagine that he's like a mentality monster, motivates players so well, and that's how he's done so well. And for it to come out from a player like him,
I think it's Belgium as well. I think it's the perception of Belgium in the media, because, like you said, imagine if Harry Kane said about that in England. That is everywhere, and maybe it's all over our media because we're English, but that's everywhere in the world because England are a bigger national team. I think Belgium, they've had their heights over the years, but also I kind of think that he's been able to get away with that because perhaps there's a bit of a weak mentality in there. With Roberto Martinez, I actually think when you looked at that golden generation, when you looked at the potential that team had, do you really think that Roberto Martinez was probably the right man to really take them forward, or was it just a bit unmotivating?
Yeah, picking Roberto Martinez very much felt like they just found a manager who was free and took him. I don't know, and you're looking at Belgium, they're ranked 2 in the world. Which I find, I've never agreed with the FIFA rankings. They've never really made sense. I remember Arsenal being ranked higher than Tottenham for years while we weren't getting Champions League, and that didn't make any sense. Obviously, I laughed it off, but it didn't make any sense. And then you look at the FIFA rankings, and a team which has never got to a final, or at least hasn't in the last 20 years. This generation hasn't made a final. They've made one semi-final in 2018. How can you be ranked second when England? I'm not saying we should be ranked second. We should just be certainly ranked higher than Belgium. When in recent tournaments we've made a final and a semi-final,
you never know where we're going to finish this year.
You never know where we're going to finish this year, but judging by the way players are motivated, I reckon I'd fancy our chances of doing better than Belgium.
Hey you!
Yeah?
Yes, you!
How did you get in my house?
Do you like YouTube?
Yeah?
Sometimes find it a bit dull?
No, I love YouTube.
Then you should subscribe to the Football in Question YouTube channel.
Why?
They've got podcast clips, original content, and also they have your family hostage.
What?
Like I said, subscribe now!
If you want to see your family again, subscribe now.
Mum?
Well, that was a fun chat, boys, about Belgium, but now I think it's time that we move on to the debate of the episode, which obviously, keeping on with the World Cup theme, I'm going to ask you the big question: what is the best World Cup ever?
Best World Cup ever, in my opinion, probably from my age as well. And Jordan's very nervous. I'm going to pick his. The one that I don't know. It's a toss up between 2018 and 2014. I'll be honest, and I'm going to go for take away the England bias. I'm going to go 2014, mainly because I think 2014 just has the best moments, the most moments that are most memorable, and it's just an all-round amazing tournament. You go. Was that yours?
That was mine.
Yeah.
I didn't think that was yours.
I've gone for 2014, and I've got so much stuff to back it up as well.
So, what's yours?
Mine. Thing is, I thought he was going to go for a certain World Cup, and that World Cup.
A certain World
No,
Cup?
a very particular World Cup, and he hasn't said that. So therefore, I'm going to change last minute. I was going to go for South Korea, Japan in 2002. Right. Because looking at it, that just seemed like a really good World Cup, first in Asia, and unlike the Qatari one, there was no dodginess in that bid whatsoever. At least I don't think there was. It just seemed like a good thing. And
straight out of the room, you just had TV on.
Not straight out of the room. I was born in August, so it was over. Right, okay. But what I'd go for South Africa 2010.
Shall we argue our points at least?
Okay,
I'll go 2018.
You'll go 2018. I'll start off with Jordan, who's more prepared. I'll give Ashley some time.
I've got a lot of notes on the 2014 World Cup.
Yeah.
So, firstly, what is a World Cup without goals? And you know what? 2014 has the joint highest ever goals in a World Cup with 171 goals scored, which is insane. That German team was amazing that went on to win it, and they provided one of the biggest shocks in World Cup history with them absolutely battering the favourites, I'd argue, in Brazil, who were the host nation. Then you've got people like Costa Rica, who made it to the quarterfinals, Greece making it to the round of 16 for the first time in their history, and just loads of shocks because obviously England got knocked out. But people forget, Italy got knocked out in that group as well. It was actually Chile and Costa Rica that went through, so it was absolutely massive in terms of pulling out shocks. Ochoa, one of our cult heroes of the World Cup, really came into his own in this World Cup. Ospina as well, yeah. And just the story of Brazil in general was amazing. James Rodriguez balling out, closer becoming the all-time leading World Cup goal scorer. Just Suarez biting people left, right and centre. Just everything about this World Cup was great. And then as well, it was just quite vibey because Brazil was just brilliant. So it was just from start to finish, there was unbelievable moment after unbelievable moment. So for me, 2014 is by far the best World Cup, especially in our lifetimes.
I'm not going to lie, you've made a decent case for that.
It's a decent case.
It's a decent
It's
case.
outstanding.
It's alright, substandard. Ashley, what do you reckon?
You're going first, next.
I'm going first.
You go next.
I mean, the thing is, I don't know why I've switched to 2010 last minute, because I've actually not prepared anything for that. I've prepared everything.
Just do your World Cup that you were going to do originally then.
Do what I was going to do originally with 2002. While I do love 2010, I do think that's probably the best one. It's the one I haven't prepared for, so I'll go for 2002. South Korea and Japan, the first Asian World Cup, the only Asian World Cup, bringing football to a continent such as that is a big moment. And judging by the way South Korea and Japan are doing now, look at the way it's improved football in those countries and the leagues in those countries. It's done a lot for football there. You have Brazil, R9, winning the World Cup. You know, putting on that amazing performance, finally getting it, becoming top scorer with 8 goals, with that haircut. It is that haircut in that World Cup. That's where we get it from. The iconic little green there, that little mostly yellow kit. I love the Brazil 02 kit. You've got Beckham with a great moment, redeeming himself for the 98 red card. You've what was it, the 1-0 win over Argentina in 02, which my dad always goes on about because it was, I think, like an 8 a.m. kickoff. And he woke up, went to a pub at like 6 a.m, got drunk and drank all day. And to me, that's just the dream.
Oh man.
What a man. And yeah, and then you've got shocks. France losing to Senegal. Controversially, South Korea knocking out Italy.
That was the first of the World Cup curse, by the way, as well.
That was the beginning of the World Cup curse, yes. However, it didn't carry on because Brazil made out of the groups in the next tournament. It's mainly a European one, which France have broken because they've won 2 games. But yeah, it had a lot of shocks, had a lot of fun. England making it to the quarterfinals. You know, it's just a vibe World Cup, and it's nice to bring it to new places. I say this at the same time of not agreeing with Qatar on any level whatsoever, but it's nice to bring it to new places that play football. That's what I'm going to add to that. Like,
Qatar play football.
as much as do they? Did they play football because they got the World Cup, or did they have the World Cup because they play football? Ask that. Who came first, chicken or the egg? If football had to come to the Middle East for a World Cup, why didn't it go to
this is not what we're debating.
Don't let me throw you off tangent. Stay strong to your 2002.
Well, look, it's a great World Cup. It's got amazing moments. South Korea at their first World Cup, making out the group stages, hosting it. Japan doing phenomenally. It's just iconic for that era of football. And we look at Japan beating Germany, and I'd argue about this World Cup, Asian football is not where it is now without that tournament.
There you go.
Yeah, you've also put forward a very decent case as well. I'm going to smack both yours over.
Mine's mainly cultural. Mine's mainly just bigging up Asian football.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, I'm going to go with the 2018 Russia tournament just because of one, standout moment really. I'll be honest, it wasn't held in the best country.
No.
So it doesn't have really that benefit. Whereas you've
I think ours are very
right.
good with host countries.
Yeah, absolutely. Thing is though, do you remember when Belgium beat England 1-0 in the groups?
Yes.
Yeah, remember that moment? Yeah. Do you remember after Januzaj scored?
Yeah.
Batshuayi picked up the ball.
And
in celebration... No, let me tell the story. in celebration, picked up the ball and tried to hoof it into the back of the net and it hit the post and smacked him in the face.
Yes.
That's my argument.
Your argument is that funny moment in the meaningless group game.
Did that happen to yours?
No.
Did that happen to yours?
No.
That's what I thought. Richie Batshuayi.
Jordan, I say let's tag team him.
Surely that's not your argument for 2018.
This is a Riyad Mahrez best right winger in Premier League history moment. This is Richie Batshuayi getting hit in the face with his own shot is amazing. And I think it beats yours. And
that's not your argument for 2018.
He's given up, basically.
Yeah, it is.
there's so much better ways you could
Alright.
You could have actually fully gone for 2018 and
2018
argued your heart out.
2018 could arguably
You could
be the winner.
make a
here.
very good argument.
After
England
listening-
surprising everyone. Great football. You know, you've got the Russia team surprising everyone. Probably on drugs. You've got, you know.
I'll be honest. I looked at the whole tournament. I looked through the iconic moments. I just thought it was a bit naff. I just thought,
What is the most
I've done
iconic
it.
moment? I mean, Trippier.
I've just told you the most iconic moment. Don't try and think of a new one.
Oh God.
However, I listened to
Mbappe
you. Look,
getting onto the scene.
look, I'm actually.
Pavard's goal against Argentina.
That was good. Yeah. However, I just actually, I'm just quite happy to take a back seat and just let you two fight.
Right.
I love 2014.
I love 2014 as well. It's my second World Cup.
Yeah, it's our second World Cup, but
I
I would
like-
argue this is the one I remember
I'll be
more.
honest. There's only one England memory I have from that World Cup.
Germany.
It's
What,
what-
Germany?
We didn't have Germany. We had
No.
Uruguay, Italy,
Oh, I
Costa
thought you
Rica.
meant 2010. Sorry.
No, for 2014. My only memory from 2014 is we only scored 2 goals at the World Cup. It was Sturridge and Rooney. The only memory I have is a goal we didn't score, which is Sterling's ghost goal, long shot against Italy, I
Yeah.
believe. That's the only memory because I remember because BBC put goal in the corner. 'Cause even the producer thought it went in.
Is that the World Cup or is that the Euros?
That was World Cup 2014.
Oh, wow.
I was in Brazil. That was
Yeah.
Sterling's first tournament when he was like 20 or like 19.
At the moment, I'll be honest, Jordan's won me over.
I
Because-
just-
Sorry, go on.
Sorry, I think the major argument here is to have the joint highest amount of goals in a World Cup competition
I think that's good.
is insane, and just the shocks after shock after shock after shock, and then I just think Brazil, personally, after the Brazil World Cup, I was like, I'm going to Brazil. I want to go to Brazil
Yeah.
straight away. It just made me fall in love
So the
with
sports washing really worked.
Brazil.
I mean, well, Brazil it is still kind of sports washing when you see like stadiums haven't been used since they built a stadium in the rainforest for Christ's sake, but it's a massive footballing country.
Yeah.
Like it makes sense that Brazil host the World Cup. Because,
I'd argue Brazil is one of the biggest footballing countries
oh
in the
yeah,
world.
they are football mad over there.
Exactly.
The biggest footballing countries outside of England, I'd say, are like you think Brazil, Argentina, Spain.
Mhm.
It's just they're one of the best teams at football. They had to
Speaking of
host it.
Spain absolutely flopped in this one.
Well, yeah, because of the World Cup curse.
And guess what? No one expected it.
And and to be fair, that's another iconic moment of Spain getting knocked out. I don't want to mention it to give you more arguments, but I feel like we're inevitably getting towards you winning this argument. And I'm going to hand it to you. I'll say you win the debate, but
I fell in love with Costa Rica as well. Costa Rica, James Rodriguez, Germany.
I fell in love with the Dutch all over again. I loved the Dutch in 2010, and I loved them in 2014.
I think if we remembered your World Cup and was about during that World Cup, it might be a little bit easier for you to argue.
I just
but-
kind of went. The only reason I didn't go 2010 is because last minute I thought you were going 2010, so I had no notes on it. And I thought I'll go for a surprise one. But 2010, I'm being honest, is my favourite World Cup.
I
It
think
was my
it's 'cause
first
it's the
one,
first, yeah.
and all I think of is the Jubilani. That's all
Mhm.
I think of. I dream about it every day.
Vuvuzelas.
Vuvuzelas.
Well, iconic that song.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
I hate them.
You hate.
I quite like them.
I
They
like.
were annoying as hell.
Okay.
Another thing, just quickly about. I think we've decided that wins.
Yeah, 2014.
Another thing, just really quickly about the World Cup. Do you remember the trailer that I think Nike put out of it? The cartoon.
Yeah.
So unreal.
Mate,
such
that's
a good
not even the
song.
best one. The cartoon one was good, but I think the best one is Winner Stays On.
But when it
Yeah,
stays
but-
on, they
That's-
Winner
That's
Stays.
not a
Is it?
World Cup.
It was.
ad.
It was released. It was released
Oh,
for
was
World
it?
Cup because they were all playing in their international kits, and then they ended up playing.
Well, there you
Wait,
go.
when it stays on, that was the one in the park.
They were in the park, and at
Yeah.
the end they're in a stadium.
Oh, yeah.
That was
yeah,
for 2014 World
yeah.
Cup.
That one and
That
the
is
cartoon one was super.
Nike one. Nike ads hit like hit.
Peak Nike.
Well, there you go.
But yeah, that's it. World Cup 2014. We voted that as the best World Cup. I'm not really going to argue with it. I loved 2014. I loved watching everything, the final, all of it. It was a great tournament.
Wait! It's Jordan's Fact of the Week! Yes, it is time for Jordan's Fact of the Week. I wanted to sneak it in somewhere, didn't know where. This seemed like the perfect opportunity. And to be honest, I'm not too certain how good Jordan's Fact of the Week actually
No,
is
come
this
on.
week.
Say it with chest,
You've gotta-
Jordan.
you've gotta
Just get
get
this
this
fact
Okay,
out.
fine. Jordan's Fact of the Week this week is amazing, and of course it is World Cup themed. Did you know that the World Cup is actually scientifically proven to be one of the biggest factors of baby booms? Just generally. In 2006, for example, Germany's birth rate increased by upwards of 10%. So
So it's whoever hosts it.
yeah, normally it's whoever hosts. I mean, it's assumed to be because of high alcohol consumption and high spirits, because high spirits actually is a key reason. It's something to do with hormones inside women that makes them more likely to get pregnant. So yeah, there you go. That's Jordan's fact of the week.
It is that time of the episode now. We are going into the quiz, and you know, you probably guessed it. The theme, obviously, is the World Cup, and it is World Cups, you know, of all time. Not this one. I don't think there's any questions on this current World Cup. But yeah, you're pulling a face at me. But anyway, before I ask the questions, bang or ding?
Oh, bang.
Ding.
I didn't know what you said.
Oh, I'm happy to go ding. I'm happy
So
to go ding.
Ashley's bang, Jordan's ding. Those are the buzzers, and here are the questions. So it's our World Cup quiz.
I swear to God, if you have any of those questions, I'm going to...
They bang views, Jordan.
Can I
I
say-
hope you have those questions. They bang views.
What
Get them in
questions?
there. The ones that name and
Name
give
this
points.
many. As many as you can.
No, I didn't write them because they take too long to write. Question 1. Which country won the first World Cup?
Bang.
Ding. Oh, damn it, you got that first.
You got that first,
Damn
actually.
it.
I think it's Uruguay. I'm not sure.
Yeah,
Correct.
right.
Uruguay won the first World Cup.
Damn it. You just got in there before me. Damn it.
Question 2.
Straight on.
Who hosted the first World Cup?
Bang. I think it's Uruguay again.
It's
Yeah,
Uruguay again. I put that in because I think a lot of people might accidentally go Italy because they hosted, I think, the second World Cup, and you know, maybe the host didn't win it, but yeah, the host did win it. That's in as most years they do.
Yeah.
2-0. Third question. Okay. And
We're
now this
racking
is,
through these.
Third question. There's been a lot of goals scored by many players at the World Cup.
This World Cup.
At our
Just
World
in
Cups.
general.
Which player is the top goal scorer?
Ding. Closer.
Yeah. Can I say, I was really annoyed when you said that in the middle of the episode because that was in my quiz, and I don't know, I just literally gave a look at that point, just like crap, but I didn't want to make it obvious. But I obviously didn't have time to rewrite that question. Okay, question 5. Oh, 4? 4.
It's 2-1.
There's a number 5 in the question, that's why I said it by accident. Question 4. 5 countries have hosted the World Cup twice, which is the most. Name... hold on. Name 3 of them for a point. So 5 countries which have hosted it twice. Name 3 of them for a point.
Bang.
Yeah?
Brazil. France.
I'm not saying if they're right.
I
Name
know.
2.
I mean, I know another one.
Germany.
Correct.
Yeah. That's
Brazil,
wildly
France and
wrong.
Germany have all hosted it twice.
Has Italy?
Italy is in there,
Yeah.
and so is Mexico.
That's
And
gonna be
here's the
Argentina.
thing, Mexico on there, they will do most at the next World Cup, hosting it 3 times.
And America will get 2.
And yeah, America will get their second. So yeah, that's really interesting. Mexico after the next tournament will become the most hosted nation. I don't know how many games they're hosting. It's probably predominantly USA, but they'll host like a couple of group games probably. So yeah, what is it? 3-1 going in. No questions missed so far.
Yeah, these have been quite simple so far.
Well, no, but I was thinking, you know, don't go too hard, just have fun.
Back your quiz, mate. Back your quiz.
Obviously, England have not been the best at World Cups, winning early, doing poor since 1966. But who is England's World Cup top goal scorer?
Bang. Gary Lineker.
Correct.
It's just whoever gets there first, really, isn't it?
Yeah, it's
Damn it.
4-1, 5 questions, done. Jordan's going to need to step up his game quickly to pull it back.
I've known all of the answers. That's the thing,
Yeah.
it's just you
Yeah.
getting
You're
there
just not
first.
quick.
We're close as well. You just beat me.
So, obviously we know with the bidding process for the World Cup, you know, you need to get in there early. Qatar was long ago. 2030 hasn't been decided yet. And currently, you know, you've got bids from like Saudi Arabia and other nations, but there is one European bid with Ukraine and 2 other nations. What 2 nations are there?
This is a hard one.
So Ukraine, for reasons, have done a joint bid with 2 other nations, or are planning to.
I think
Why do
I
I
know
feel?
one.
I
If
feel
you
like
know-
it's really random.
If nothing is, if once I say it, I think you've seen it.
I think these
These 2
countries
nations
are
are really obvious to go together.
Bang.
Oh.
Poland and Austria.
No,
Oh.
I think it's more random than that.
it's
I think
genuinely.
it is quite.
Don't
random.
think about Ukraine.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
You've got sucked into the Eastern Europe thing. It's actually a bit weirder than that.
I know it's really weird.
I'll give you 5 seconds.
Ding. I'm going for Greece and
While you're waiting for it,
Hungary.
I'm just going to take this wrong. It's not Greece and Hungary. It's actually, these countries are nowhere near Ukraine. It's Spain and Portugal.
I knew it was really random.
So I think originally they were going to do one on their own without Ukraine. They were going to do an Iberian World Cup, which makes sense. 2 footballing countries, same island, pretty simple. But then Ukraine happened. They thought, oh, to boost our chances, we'll do a joint with Ukraine.
Yeah.
And if I'm being honest, I think that probably will win the bid. And I'd happily, but then it's going to be really confusing when you have one game.
I was going to say Greece and Spain, to be fair, but
Yeah, still. But like Spain, I really like the idea of that World Cup. But money talks. So Saudi Arabia 2030.
Question 7 then?
they're coming up with a lot of statements here today.
7. As I mentioned earlier, 2010 is my favourite World Cup of all time. My first World Cup. I loved it. But which player was the player of the tournament?
Bang.
Yeah?
There's 2 on mine. And I'm going to back Andres Iniesta.
Incorrect.
Oh,
That's who I would have said.
It's not interesting.
I
Yeah.
think I know now.
Player of the tournament at 2010.
Surely it's a Spaniard. Surely it's a Spaniard. Ding. David Villa.
Can I guess before you say who it is?
You say it.
Iron Robin.
No. This player didn't make the final. It is Diego Forlan.
Oh.
Diego Forlan was the player of the tournament. Only getting to the semi-finals.
Still 4-1.
Yeah.
Still 4-1.
That's it.
I did kind of jinx it. I said, "Oh, no one's got any. We're not blanking any questions. It's something like blank the couple."
I think it's over now.
I've won. End the quiz.
4-1. Actually, no. There's 3 questions left,
So I can tie.
so he can tie and then go to the
crap.
bonus questions.
You tricked me. You
Okay.
I actually
Okay.
I actually thought.
I don't think anyone's going to get this question, so I might potentially to let someone
just-
have it.
Just
I'm going to say it's whoever's closest,
oh.
including the current tournament. How many World Cups have there been?
Oh, Jesus.
Bang.
Yeah.
22.
You've banged it.
Yes!
I've no idea.
Come on.
Bang that.
Mathematic.
How's he done that?
Mathematic. Alright,
Actually-
1930 was the first World Cup.
Yes.
We're about 100 years after that. 100 divided by 4, 25. We missed some because of the World
Well,
War, and we're
yeah.
not in 1930 as well. 22. As is just a guess.
I was trying to think my way through each of them and went. Right, so the World War happened then. So
How many World
move
Cups?
on.
How many World Cups did we miss? I think we only missed 2. But yeah,
I feel like I'm on countdown.
that's
Damn it. Okay, well you won. Fair play.
that is. I mean, you got to hand it to you. Is that like the second time you've got it bang on on a
for
closest
question
to?
like that, yeah.
You did that for episode 1 as well. I don't know. What have you had for breakfast today? Jesus.
Porridge.
But yeah, question 9 doesn't really matter now. But yeah, the original trophy, the old trophy, was called the Jules Rimet Trophy. Who was Jules Rimet?
Bang.
Yeah.
Some French bloke.
I mean, you're not wrong. I feel like I'm not going to give you a point for that.
Can you repeat the question?
Who was
The
it?
original trophy for the World Cup, the old trophy, because it's not the same, model, was
Yeah.
called the Jules Rimet Trophy.
You know,
Who was Jules Rimet? It's named after someone. They probably have something to do with football.
Have they run FIFA at some point?
And
Why would you name that after them? Oh, what?
And? What do you mean and?
okay, fine.
And they invented the World Cup?
Yes.
Oh.
They are the first FIFA president for the World Cup.
Oh, okay.
They helped organise the first World Cup, and I think it wasn't named after him originally. It was named
I was
after.
going to say,
You sit there
I want
and?
this. I want this competition, and the trophy's going to be named after me.
No, it was named after him like in the 50s. They decided to honour it. Originally, it was just the World Cup.
I said it and,
And
and I was like, well, what?
And then,
what was that?
like, because the whole point was he wasn't just a president. Seriously, it could have been called the Sepp Blatter Trophy,
Yeah.
theoretically. But like,
I think we should both give up that. We both contributed.
Come on, man. Can I just get the point?
look,
so
honour-
this difference looks a little
look,
bit.
don't suck up. You've won. You're getting a point.
You said it was French.
The final question.
It's like me going, the Fernando Torres Trophy is named after
Fernando
someone.
Torres could be
and
Mexican, Spanish,
who is
Portuguese.
Fernando Torres?
That's not a good
And
example.
you
Okay, here.
No, but you
Final-
know where Fernando Torres is from.
Yeah, but no. But
Okay, look, none of this debacle. Final question.
What's the score? 5-2.
The score is 5-2.
Yeah.
Final question, 10th question, and a bonus, which I'll get into for fun. Obviously, England have a lot of bad luck when it comes to penalties in tournaments. We've lost in the Euros, lost in the World Cup multiple times. How many penalty shootouts have England lost the World Cup?
Bang 4.
Incorrect.
Ding, 5.
Incorrect.
Damn it, 3.
It's 3.
Damn it.
We've only played in 4,
Five's
and we've only won 1, which was Colombia. And I'm not going to say who we've lost them to because that's a bonus question.
Who we lost
so
them to?
the bonus question:
Should we work together? Here?
name
Who we lost to?
one of the sides which England lost to.
Ding, Germany.
Correct.
One of them.
Italia 90. Can you Joe, because it doesn't really matter? Can you name the other 2?
I feel like we've lost to Argentina on penalties as well.
Yeah, it's Argentina. It's Argentina in '98, and then in 2006, I think Italy.
Italy was the Euros.
Portugal.
Portugal 02. It's Portugal 02.
Italy was Euros.
Just a really red card.
Well, I got all of them.
Okay.
Do I get 3 points for that?
Yeah.
So I get 3 points for that, and that means I win.
No, that means it's a draw, first of all.
Okay, seriously,
Actually, yeah,
no one
it
gets
does
any
actually
points.
mean
That
it's
was
a
more of a
draw,
conversation than a question. It ends 5-2. It's, nice to be talking
5-2, 5-3, because I did get Germany in the first place.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll give him Germany in the first place. 5-3. It's an interesting discussion talking about the World Cup. I love the World Cup. I think we all do as football fans. But yeah, this World Cup episode has now come to an end. It's been real fun talking about it. Real fun enjoying this World Cup so far.
And there's plenty more content to come from the TFQ for this World Cup. So get on our socials, get on our TFQ TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, all of that, because we are pumping out videos non-stop. So get on it.
There'll be a clip at the end of all our socials, just so you know where they are.
Yeah. But yeah, it's been a great time talking about this. And yeah, like you said, look at our socials, and we'll see you next time.